Hi everyone, I'm back. Um, yeah, life had taken over and I had to take a break. But in the light of all the unsealed evidence, anyway, evidence, um, I've been vindicated, haven't I? So I'm gonna cut the story short and get right into it. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds needed to crush Justin Baldoni in order to achieve their dreams of owning a franchise. Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool, Blake Lively, it ends with us. So let's start. We need to go back. Oh, by the way, sorry. This episode is going to be a summary of what was their big vision. And in the upcoming episodes, I'm going to try to break down how they executed the plan, and with how so much evidence, I'm looking forward to going through them with you. So let's get right into it. We're going to start with Deadpool. Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool. The power of a franchise. Um, if you don't know like the background of Ryan Reynolds, I think this is very a good point to start. So Ryan Reynolds didn't just stumble upon Deadpool. It was his passion project for 10 years. He had a vision for it. He had big dreams and he really could see what this could be. Back in the day, I guess it was like 2016 when it started shooting or it was released. He had a vision, and at that time, like his ideas were groundbreaking, and it how to say, it performed really well. And one of the things that you have to know about Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds, I think he wrote the script with other two producers. And then they presented it to Sony at that time, or maybe another studio. And because this was like extremely R-rated, and at that time superhero world or movie world wasn't really ready as per the studio's vision for what they wanted to do with Deadpool, so they kind of shut it down and it was shelved. And obviously I think Ryan Reynolds like was really pushing for it, and in order to prove his point, him or either him or one of the other two producers, they leaked the trailer that they had prepared, and it performed really well with the fans and they really loved it because it's like it was a brand new revelation. And with that studio greenlit the project and they started shooting Deadpool. So this Deadpool was changed everything. It wasn't just another role for Reynolds, it was the role. And one of the biggest success stories for Ryan Reynolds was his vision and dedication, for this. And would be fools not to acknowledge, like he contributed to a lot to this franchise's success. And this, like Ryan Reynolds, he always saw the bigger picture of what he wanted to do. He understood early on that success in a franchise doesn't mean giving up control. It can actually give you more of it. Like, because as an actor, I guess when you're in a franchise, like that becomes you, or that becomes your identity. But so you kind of lose control of your career in a sense. But it's a smart and calculated and built on the visibility and leverage that come from leading a hit franchise. He didn't sell out, like in his own words. He actually bought in, and it paid off. If you play it right, being a face of a $1 billion movie can unlock doors in business, creative projects, and beyond. It's not about being famous, it's about what you do because you're famous. I'm just gonna give a quick quote from Ryan Reynolds himself, what he talks about actors and franchises. Just 1 second, bear with me. So in a GQ article, sorry, there was an interview in GQ. I think this is 2015. I may be wrong, but oh crap. Sorry. So he was asked, and I'm gonna have to check what year this was, but he was asked this question: What do you think when you see young bright up? What do you think when you see young, bright, up and coming actors in Hollywood steered relentlessly into these franchises? Ryan Reynolds replies, a lot of them are incredible artists and they need to have a franchise in order to pursue a lot of the other interests that they may have. It works a bit of a conduit to the material that they want to pursue to be pursuing when they're not shooting the big franchise. And so this is basically his point of view. And like the success of Deadpool, it really opened up a lot of doors for him. So he was already like, he became really popular in Hollywood, but also he used his money wisely, and he became like this marketing genius that had brought something new to the market, which was like using he became the brand. So I guess he was the influencer of Hollywood in a way, because he was the product that was selling whatever he was investing in. He capitalized on his fame and his outreach. Through that, he had quite a lot of investments, which have also succeeded. I believe he has sold a couple of companies that he had invested in for millions of dollars. Just a quick overview of his portfolio. I found this website that just gives a summary just for you to know about where his money is coming from. This is from 2024. I'm sure there are updated versions. So there's the Wrexham AFC. This is a football club, and I believe like it was really struggling, and him and a friend of his, they invest into this company, and through the marketing of Reynolds and how he was using himself as the advertising, they actually upped the value, and they brought, I believe, other investors and good players in, and the team made succeeded more than they did before. And I don't know what's their trajectory now, but now they were more popular than they were. And the Mint Mobile, he purchased 25% stake, and then it was acquired by T-Mobile for $1.3 billion. So that's a successful investment and great marketing, I guess, on his behalf. Then Maximum Effort, like he basically this is Maximum Effort is all about Ryan Reynolds and how he markets. So he leverages somebody's fame and the personality to sell something, and it had proven successful. Yeah. Maximum Effort. There's Alpine Formula One. Apparently, he had he has acquired like part of a Formula One team. And then this one I knew the most is the Aviation American Gin. He acquired a share in it, and then it was sold for $610 million, which is a hefty amount. And this was all after Deadpool. So as you can see, like being a face of a franchise really helped him not just to gain power in Hollywood, but also financial like investors and in the economic, like in the business world, which really broadened his outreach. It wasn't just Hollywood. He had people in all places, and I'm sure like it includes newspapers, investors, banks, anything basically. He was well connected. Now, so basically Ryan Reynolds went from superhero to super investor, and now this is I think a good summary of what his career was before Deadpool and after. And now this is about Blake Lively, and it ends with us, obviously, but the Deadpool part was very important because this kind of set a blueprint for Blake Lively to follow, because it was successful and it was tried and true. So obviously, as his wife, why wouldn't you go on this, like on the footsteps of what your husband has done and has proven to be successful? Also keep in mind, Blake Lively was surrounded by Taylor Swift and Ryan Reynolds. So I can imagine like she also wanted to achieve something, and there's nothing wrong with that. The problem is how you achieve things, and this is where she's found herself in this shit. But it's her own doing. Anyway, so now let's draw a parallel between Blake Lively's career before it ends with us and Ryan Reynolds. I'm gonna go back to our slide. So, following Ryan Reynolds' path to success. Blake Lively, before it ends with us, had kind of a similar career to Ryan Reynolds in the sense that she she had roles, but they were not like groundbreaking. She was known, like a lot of people saw the potential, I guess, in her, but she never really had that role that made her who she is. I guess she was known for Gossip Girl, but it's not the fact that the acting was there. It was just her character was assigned to her, and that's what she was known for. For years, like Lively's career existed in a liminal space. I think she was part of the took part in Savages and the Age of Adeline, where she showcased the range, but again, this was not a breakout or breakthrough performance. And at that time, I guess she was married already with Ryan, and she started having kids, and she was still ambitious, right? So there's nothing wrong having a family and being ambitious at the same time. So she took a step back and she started raising her kids. Right now she has 4 kids, but imagine like she had kids quite close in age. But this doesn't mean that she stopped acting and she stopped following Ryan Reynolds' path to success. It just means that she had a different sequence. For instance, she founded the Betty Buzz, the alcoholic brand, and then I believe non-alcoholic. It has different types, and this seemed to be a successful rollout or a company that she established, and it was doing really well. And here, like you can also you can really feel Reynolds style marketing all over them, and it was like irreverent, viral, and tailored to the internet age. And I'm just gonna show a quick video from it, just for you to understand what I mean. Bear with me. So, okay. Just a quick snippet from her commercial for Betty Buzz.
There's a reason all men love Betty Buzz. Because at Betty Buzz, we don't test on animals. We test on men.
You get the point. And then the second one was this one. Oh, this was horrible. This is so horrible. I don't know if it's because in retrospect we see this, but just enjoy.
I asked for 2 cans from Amazon. Not a toucan from the Amazon.
I suffered through it, so you had to too. Sorry. Then let's go next. So this you see, as I said, this is like very Ryan. You can see Ryan's fingers all over it, or maybe they're so similar to each other, they just do the same thing. This is their family brand. Speaking of family brand, one of the most important things that I need to highlight here, the family dynamics of Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds in their own words. I'm just gonna quickly switch to an interview with Ryan and Blake Lively in their own words. So I'm not putting words in their mouth. You cannot tell me that it's not true. I'm gonna go. So this is from 2019. Ryan Reynolds won't work at the same time as Blake Lively. The family stays together. So they've always said that, they have like a formula how they maintain their happy and blissful marriage, and this is how they stay as a family together. Even in a message to Justin Baldoni, I think he says like he was trying to push the movie, like the filming date, because he was filming and she was filming. That wouldn't have been great for them, according if they're not doing what they usually do. So this was out of the ordinary for them. Here's the quote from Ryan. Blake and I don't do movies at the same time. If she's doing a movie in Thailand and I'm doing a movie in Vancouver, we would just never see each other. We operate as a unit, and that really works well for us. The kids stay with us, and the family stays together, and that is where home is. So we're here in Spain. So if we're in Spain or Utah or New York, as long as we are together, we're home. Blech. Anyway, you see, this is Ryan Reynolds discussing, and then this is Blake Lively This is Blake Lively in an interview. I don't know what year this is, but please listen.
Thank you so much. You are juggling so much. How do you choose between the roles now with 3 kids?
Oh God. I mean, I guess I really have to really love it because I'm just obsessed with my kids. So yeah, I think it's got to really be worth it to take me away.
I hope it was worth it, Lively. Anyway, we go next. So, the family dynamics. The reason why I wanted to talk about the family dynamics was because this is in their own words. And keeping with all of this in mind and thinking that Blake Lively is following in her husband's footpath, footpath? Path of success, apologies. It wouldn't be like a far reach if you think that, she was waiting for her role. And like Reynolds, before Deadpool, Lively needed her own defining project, one that would like reintroduce her not just as an actress, but like as a force, a pivot that wasn't about performance, but like presence. I have to stop saying like, but apologies. A role with a built-in audience, cultural capture, and the potential to build a franchise. And this is when It Ends With Us comes in. The next. I love my little ChatGPT, and we did it as a collaboration. Building her own version of Deadpool, Blake Lively, and It Ends With Us. I start with, why the rush, Blake? So keep in mind, Blake Lively, keep in mind the interviews that I just showed before about their family dynamics, and also Blake Lively was brought this script December 2022. At that point, she was probably, I think, 7 months pregnant, or even 8 months, because she gave birth either early February or end of January, a mere month after. If you look and compare it to how they're operating as a family, it like says like, oh, like raise an eyebrow. They knew that the shooting is gonna start in 4 months, and also Deadpool was set to start shooting in London in May 2023. So they must have had a good reason why Blake Lively signed on to this. And I'm not saying like shaming as a mother, like that's not an issue. It's not an issue at all. It's just like it's contradictory to what they present themselves at, and this just shows that this had to be an exception. And even in the messages to Justin Baldoni, when he was trying to, you can see that he was trying, he said something in the message about them being a family unit and it's very important to them. Anywho, so there's that. And this is the part where I think is important and I would like to distinguish. Colleen Hoover. This was not just about It Ends With Us. It was about Colleen Hoover as well. Because It Ends With Us was part of the Colleen Hoover's like book, I don't know, library or like famous books. And she has sold over 35 million books worldwide, and 10 million just It Ends With Us. It went popular on Book Talk. This was actually, it went popular after Justin Baldoni purchased the rights to the movie. It went popular and there was a bigger fan base, and the Colleen Hoover of it all. Actually, if you look at it, if you take a step back, Colleen Hoover and It Ends With Us could have been a bigger catch for Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds as a force, because imagine you get the movie rights from this, and then you have Colleen Hoover as you make that you're going to produce all of her rights of all the movies. I think, what's her name? Kristen Bell or something? Like, didn't she create this production company and she was getting like the rights to produce movies? Like, imagine something like that. And that company is worth billions, I think, at this point, or maybe like it's in the high numbers. So this is why I think like Colleen Hoover was the target as well. Like It Ends With Us was a gateway to Colleen Hoover, and that's why like they also poisoned Colleen Hoover behind like to Justin Baldoni. If you think about, if they only wanted It Ends With Us, there was no like, just they could have just badmouthed him, but they didn't have to like poison him and make her like kind of not brainwash her, but whisper in her ear of how bad Justin Baldoni is. Anyway, so this is what I think is happening. And just a bit, sorry, just I wanted to say something about the Colleen Hoover's fandom. So it was a gold mine for an actress. Like, it was a guaranteed success. So when Blake Lively signed for It Ends With Us, she wasn't just signing on to act. She was buying into like a pre-sold fan base, the kind of audience that shows up no matter what. And that's kind of thing would scream or give the illusion that, oh, it's Blake Lively who did this. It was just she was the face, and this would have been like a good comeback for her. And just to add to that, this is another quote from her lovely husband. I'm gonna, in the same article, like GQ article. So it's like a continuation of that question. I wonder if an actor's commitment to the big franchise films actually prevents them from working on type of material that they want to be working on because of sequels, contracted obligation, that sort of thing. And Ryan Reynolds replies, maybe, but then again, interestingly, thank God, there's more and more opportunities for women now than there was. Obviously, there's a pay gap and an age gap in Hollywood that's kind of insane and at some point needs to be remedied, inch by inch or mile by mile. But Jennifer Lawrence, she's a movie star. I personally would go see a movie based exclusively on the fact that she's in it. But she's also into franchises. So this is just like to say that I'm not putting words in their mouth. They've been talking about this for years. You just have to dig deep to find where they've been telling on themselves and their plans. This was all fun and well until they did what they did. And let's go back to our presentation. And Colleen Hoover, I understood. And then Deadpool and versus It Ends With Us. As I said before, I think like It Ends With Us, it wasn't just It Ends With Us, it was Colleen Hoover. So this was could have been like even much bigger thing for Blake Lively. And then she was going to be able to be in the same level. It wouldn't be 2 dragons. They would be 3 dragons in Hollywood. Thank God they fucked up, didn't they? Anyway, one of the things that is, I think, important to highlight, for those of you who already know or who have seen, this case has been going for over a year now, and there have been obviously a lot of research and, people have been posting things in retrospect. And one of the things that is important to highlight is Ryan Reynolds and him directing the movie of Deadpool. So he was directing with another director, he was a producer, and I think that, Tim Miller was director, and this is what Tim Miller had to say about Ryan Reynolds. Deadpool director Tim Miller says he left the franchise because of Ryan Reynolds. It became clear that Ryan wanted to be in control. You can see, and then it's no secret that Ryan is very attached to Deadpool, both as a character and the film series. He first played the comic book Merc with a mouth in the critically panned X-Men Origins Wolverine and campaigned to get a standalone movie, which finally happened in 2016. Deadpool was a hit with the fans and critics alike, and so the sequel was pretty much guaranteed. But according to Tim Miller, who directed the first movie, Reynolds' possessiveness drove him to leave the franchise. In a recent interview with KCRW, Miller explained how creative differences with the film star led to his eventual departure from the series. It became clear that Ryan wanted to be in control of the franchise, he said. You can work that way as a director quite successfully, but I can't. I don't mind having a debate, but if I can't win, I don't want to play. And I don't think you can negotiate every creative decision. There's too many to make. So Ryan's the face of the franchise, and he was the most important component of that by far. So if he decides he wants to control it, then he's going to control it. Doesn't that sound familiar? So again, following her husband's playbook of how to take over a movie. and she was successful with it. You know how he talks about, like, oh, you don't want to argue about your creative decisions. And this is what exactly Justin Baldoni was arguing with her about. She kept on putting her input. Justin Baldoni, they had to negotiate. And it is vile. Anyway, so this was like Deadpool. And so here, Tim Miller was the director, and here Justin Baldoni was. The difference was, like, Tim Miller wasn't the studio owner and wasn't the lead actor and everything. Here, Justin Baldoni was the owner of the studio that owned the rights to the movie. Justin Baldoni actually owned the rights to the movie, as I understand. He was the head of the studio that was producing the movie. He was a lead actor, and he was a producer and the director. So he was like a quadruple threat to them. So they really needed like a freaking wrecking ball to take this man down in order. Because let's say if you push the creative control, but he was still also in the movie, so he couldn't have done what Tim Miller did. So they really, really needed something to get rid of him. Because at the end, Blake Lively was supposed to be the face of it all. She was going to be in the forefront. And if they needed the movie rights, I think they went into it not necessarily planning to go of it so aggressively. But as Blake Lively started getting resistance on creative inputs from Justin Baldoni, that's when they were like, game on. And that's what they did. Obviously, Justin Baldoni wasn't taking part of this. He didn't know he was in a game until a few months later, but. And this is when they had their malicious plan to take over the movie, and It Ends With Us was supposed to be Blake's return to Hollywood. Now, Blake Lively gets onto It Ends With Us, they sign up, and this is basically just a quick summary of how she started exerting control and how she, inch by inch, got to what she had envisioned for herself and Ryan. Yeah, so you don't say no to the Reynolds. Pre-production, this is when Lively and Reynolds, I think they were trying to get to know Justin Baldoni to see like how they're gonna play this. And in their own words, they're calling him a clown, doofus, whatever. They didn't see him as somebody worthy to be on their level, and they were jealous that he had the rights to this movie that was supposed to be Blake's entry to the world. I mean, to the re-entry to Hollywood. And sorry, just quickly about It Ends With Us, proving my point about her being interested to the franchise. There's a video that I had linked in, those who know my PDF, Anita's Theory. I had linked a video there talking about how Blake Lively talks about how It Ends With Us came to her and how she signed on to the role. And I think it is very important because it is cropped from the internet. But because I had shared it with Omar at the time, this was our first live stream, and he played it. So I found that live stream, so I'm going to play it for you now. And one second. This was the live stream.
This is the quote that she says. Blake Lively, It Ends With Us interview. This is from 7 months ago.
They came to me with this movie, but the person that I was in the car with, Eden, when the gentleman I work with, Warren, called me and said, "Hey, they're interested in you playing this character. Do you know Colleen Hoover and her books?" And Eden shrieked. She's 25 years old, and I thought, "Oh, that's so interesting that a 25-year-old who has access to every bit of information possible, everything you get on social media apps, all the streaming, all the optionality." Here's this name of this writer that cut through. That was interesting to me because, in older generations, everybody was listening to the same radio shows, watching the same 30 channels. So now when the whole world is open to you, for a name to cut through like that to a younger generation really made me perk up. And then when he said the name of the book, she like shrieked. And I was like, "Are you a fan of this book?" She was like, "I read her other books. I don't know that book, but that is the book that all of my friends are obsessed with. Everyone knows that." So she hadn't even read the book, but she shrieked when she heard the name. And then I ended up going to a local bookstore like an hour later, in this tiny town, and the windows were just covered in Colleen Hoover, Colleen Hoover, Colleen Hoover, Colleen Hoover. I thought, okay, I feel like the universe is trying to tell me something.
So, just also, as I said, I think it wasn't just about It Ends With Us, it was about Colleen Hoover. That was the one that was popular. Let's go back to our presentation. Pre-production, she does that, and during production, this is like when she started showing resistance, and this is the part when like the other, I don't know what was happening exactly, but we have the messages. We're gonna go in details based on the unsealed exhibits. Production, this is when like she was trying to have scenes, like she had rewritten a few lines here and there, and she had changed scenes, and there are a lot of messages between the producers talking about how she's like changing the whole script. And basically that's what happened. And then because she was getting resistance, she started, and she already disliked them from the beginning. You know, like when you don't like somebody and then you just start seeing all their mistakes, and then you just make it bigger because like you need to hate that person even more. It's just like, what is it called? It is confirmation bias. Is that what it's called? When, you know, you have a opinion and then you're just looking for that data to do that. And they needed to do that because they needed to get rid of him. And this is the part where, you know, she starts poisoning the characters like she did in Gossip Girl with Dan Humphrey, I believe. And there's a video about it somewhere, how she said that she's started like she was poisoning people against him on set. Oh, these people, they just won't shut up, right? They're telling on themselves. Anyway, that's what happened. Then this is production went to, like, there was a strikes and list of 17 demands and the leverage. So keep this in mind. They were shooting and then they went on strike. At that point, Blake Lively, when she was communicating with Justin, she was still sending XOs or their messages when like, she's like, oh, can you send me the dailies? And I would like to take a look. She's playing nice, right? This was in July, August, and I believe in October, she had asked for the dailies and she was shut down 3 times. I think once with Justin Baldoni and at some point by the studio. And this is when, November 9th, she sent the list of 17 demands. The timing of it is very important because they were coming back. They had already shot quite a few and they still needed to finish, obviously, the shootings. Yeah, they needed to finish more scenes. But at that point, she's already, you know, shot. And once she's done shooting, she doesn't have leverage to ask, oh, let me into the editing room. Because, you know, she asked for the dailies and she was rejected. And the studio had spent quite a lot of money already at that point. So she needed to go, you know, have something against them. And if you read the list of 17 demands, they're so, just like they said in the emails, it's like, what she's asking for, we already provide. So let's just get her to the on set. She hadn't complained about anything specific. You know, she had created this, and in an email they said, although we did, their reply was like, although we disagree on a few of the points, of course we'll accept the conditions. And a very important part of this is like, if you look at what was in the list of 17 demands, there's the retaliation clause, which I think is when this was like a premeditated thing that they were gonna do to Justin Baldoni, regardless of the PR things. And you know, I think their plan changed after the marketing flop, but they already had that retaliation or in that clause, and in that retaliation, it's like any kind of no, basically hearing from them would have been like, oh, you're retaliating against me because I asked this. So this gave her leverage, because if she shot the scenes, she wouldn't have leverage. And imagine where she ended up, right? How much she started like taking Justin Baldoni's name off of the movie, etc. She, whatchamacallit? if she had asked that, was like, this is what I want, they would have been like, F no. In order to reach her end goal, she had to do inch by inch, slowly, slowly. At that point, every time, like, the studio would be like, oh, we're just gonna let her into the editing room. Oh, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. And then in the end, she wanted Justin Baldoni in the basement of his movie. So this is what she reached, and this was exactly her plan. And obviously, they started poisoning people behind the scenes. Anyway, the timeline, not the timeline, how she, how do you call it? I don't know how you call it. I forgot the word. Anyway, how she advanced her plan. And the Blake Lively and the threads, post-production, like, this is, her aim was already, like, you can see it was the PGA mark, from executive producer to PGA mark. She was ramping up the demands, threatening Justin Baldoni, and he was like, they were the Hollywood power couple, and they were pulling all the strings that they had, and they have quite a lot of strings. And the Gossip Girl, this is like erasing Justin from the movie. She was poisoning the cast, as I said, executing the plan, lies and defamation of Justin Baldoni behind the scenes. And then we're going to go to that again, the details, we'll see the messages. And then the marketing flop that happened, PR wars, maximum effort, they messed up. Blake was very tone deaf. She, like, her approach to DV was actually abhorrent. It's not like, let's say they had the marketing plan with florals, right? Nobody told her to say those words. You can still uplift women who have been going through DV in a positive light, saying that, oh, you can change, you can do this, without mocking them, without looking like you're promoting rom-com. This was Blake Lively's show. This wasn't about DV for her. This was her show. And when she started getting backlash, she basically lost her plan. Imagine, she had been like fighting for this. She had been scheming for a year and a half. So when this marketing thing backfired, she needed somebody to take the blame. And at that point, we see like Ryan Reynolds talking to people and how they wanted Jamie and Justin Baldoni to take the fall and apologize. And so this is exactly why we're in this lawsuit, because she needed revenge. And another thing that, as I said, I think when they sent the list of 17 demands, I think they were probably gonna threaten this with Baldoni to get the movie rights, because in October, after this PR thing, or like end of September or October, there were a few articles when Ryan said that, oh, he was like, he would like to buy the rights to the movie, blah, blah, blah. And so this was happening behind the scenes, but because of the PR wars and because of what Stephanie Jones did, they had to like nitpick to show that it wasn't her blame, because, their plan failed, but they diverted in light of receiving Stephanie Jones's phone. And obviously, to this day, this woman is nitpicking and cherry picking her messages to try to show that something is happening. It's been a year. It's been a lot of, subpoenas, evidence collection. She is still trying to use one sentence out of a paragraph to show something, whereas like when she went to the New York Times, obviously you could see that, there was no context giving, because this was all about optics, because she was going to say, oh, back in August you guys were fighting me, but it wasn't me, it was all fake. Obviously it wasn't. So the New York Times piece was supposed to be a hit piece. So here, I love this. This is Brian Friedman with his Exhibit A. This is Stephanie Jones with the phone. This is Leslie Sloan. There are the prices. This is obviously the one who shall not be named. And this is Lively. This is, they're trying to go to the franchise island where Colleen Hoover is waiting for them with all the scripts and the books. And it ends with us. This is Baldoni, Jamie Heath, Jennifer Abel, Melissa Nathan. This is Jed Wallace, and this is Steve Sarowitz. This is them basically truth is your defense, and this is how they were exposed, and this is where we are now. So this is the summary of what I think their vision was for, It Ends With Us and Colleen Hoover and for Blake Lively's career. And obviously, you would think that these are all, putting pieces together. And yes, I have put pieces together, but what Blake Lively and Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds love to do? They love to tell on themselves. And just like their bestie, Taylor Swift, they love their Easter eggs. So, as we know, this is going to be the last part, which I think is the most important part, because I think this is evidence of malicious intent. I'll show you. So, obviously, we know Nice Paul was Justin Baldoni. And I want to show you a few things. First of all, Nice Paul, I would like to show his personality based on what the fandom talks about him here. So this is Marvel Cinematic Universe fandom. So it's like a lot of people use this, and this is how Nice Paul is described. Nice Paul was an incredibly nice and warm-hearted mercenary, standing in stark contrast to the most of the variants. He did not have violent indications, nor was he rude, as depicted when he did not exhibit any signs of hostility when he encountered a variant of himself and Wolverine in the Void. He even kindly told them how they could reach the borders and let them borrow his Honda Odyssey, reminding them to stay away from the Deadpool corpse. Additionally, Nice Paul was very confident of his handsome looks. When asked by another Deadpool why he did not wear a mask, Nice Paul was visibly confused why he needed a mask. Nice Paul was also extremely attached to Dogpool, as he insisted that Dogpool had to stay with him when his variant wished to adopt the dog. However, Nice Paul could not read the room, and he often failed to see through others' seemingly harmless actions and uncover their malicious intentions. This is very important. This naivete is what got Nice Paul murdered eventually, as he could not notice that when he met the alternative Deadpool in the Void, the other Deadpool wanted him dead so that he could get his treasured golden pair of pistols and ownership of his dog. And this is exactly what I wanted to highlight. Dogpool is Colleen Hoover. The pistols are It Ends With Us, and It Starts With Us. And let's just look at the video. This is like gonna be snippet from how they Deadpool interacts with Nice Paul. This is scene 1.
Are those gold-plated 50 caliber Desert Eagle pistoleros?
Of course.
To match my ear huggy. Can I have them? Over my dead body. You're fun. And I guess you've already met Mary Poppins, aka Dogpool. Careful where you put your hand. She's 90% G-spot, and she'll let you know it. You let this little flirt out of your sight for 1 second, and she starts shopping for a new papa. If you can't be a responsible pet owner, then maybe you don't deserve this little unicorn.
Yes, Colleen Hoover was a unicorn for them, because just like you see Blake Lively in that interview, how Colleen Hoover, could break all these media barriers and reach so many people. So that's why I think Dogpool is Colleen Hoover. And she's inside Deadpool's mouth. I think she was probably sucking up to Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds at the time. That's just my opinion. That's what I think what happened. And then this is another part of him talking about how he wants the dog.
You're gonna have to give me my dog back, though. I know. Listen. Yes, child. If you ever want to give her up, or if she needs a new home, or if something should happen to you, I'd love to be her papa. What would ever happen to me? Lots of stuff. No, we're running.
Okay, so this is about the Dogpool and the two pistoleros, golden plated. So this is about their intentions, and then there is there's the fight scene where the death of Nice Paul. The scene where Deadpool dies is in front of a flower shop. He is between Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, Deadpool and Lady Paul. And Lady Paul fires at Deadpool, but Deadpool uses Nicepool, aka Justin Baldoni, as a shield from his wife's wrath. Okay? I'm gonna disclaimer for you guys, those who haven't seen Deadpool, it's bloody. I have tried to cut, a few parts where it gets really, really gruesome, but I think we can watch this part. But if you're not into this, feel free to fast forward a little bit. I'm showing it because I think it's very important, and it's Easter eggs of what they were doing to Justin Baldoni behind the scenes. So, 1 second. So this is the scene. I hope it's not too loud. Just gonna, yeah.
Down to the subway, you gotta go through us. Uzi time, baby.
Uzi time, baby.
Look alive.
So this is the part. First, Nicepool is shot heavily, and then they hide behind the car, and then they have to move to the other side. And while moving to the other side, Ryan Reynolds still decides to use an already wounded Nicepool as a shield until he reaches there. I'm just gonna show this. You can see this is quickly.
They sell portable triage units.
They don't.
I'm gonna get you to safety.
Easy. Deep breath.
Hey! Why are we stopping? Just catching my breath. What are your legs on vacation? You're dead weight. It's because I'm paralyzed.
So this is the part where his head is blown off, and that's not the part I want to say. And I want to highlight, I'm going to get back to that previous shooting and this one. Here, it's not Lady Pool shooting him, like there are different people joining in. I think that's very important. As I said, they really love to tell on themselves and Easter eggs. And this is the last scene where Nicepool is shot. His brain is blown up, and this is what Deadpool says about that.
Love his face. I could taste his final thought. He was so afraid. But he died a hero.
He died for murder, you dumb fuck.
And all I have to remember him by are these two gold-plated 50 caliber Desert Eagle pistoleros. This is for him.
So, before, I just have 2 more things to show you guys in a bit, but before moving on, before moving on, I would like to bring this to your attention. 1 second. So, as you saw, the first one was where Lady Pool shoots Nicepool. This is a symbolic part of Blake Lively coming up with list of 17 demands. And this is something, I don't know if people have found it, but I'm just gonna play this in slow motion for you. So, yep, they're disgusting, aren't they? But, this is what they did, because at that point, this lawsuit hadn't come out, and they were just, blatantly and shamelessly talking about how they were going to take down Justin Baldoni. And, and this is the part, sorry, I just, like, when I watch this, I get a bit upset. And then this is the second part. So he's behind the car, and then, he moves on. And I said in the second video, it's not Blake Lively taking shots at him anymore. There are people joining in. And I think this is the part where like they had the plan, like, you know, he was already weak and wounded, and then they bring in all the other people to fire at him to the point that he's dead. And in the end, he also confesses that he would remember him with his pistoleros, and he gets the dog pull as well. And so yeah. And finally, obviously, you could say that this is all, you know, me putting things together and I need to fill in the blanks. But please, I don't know, like, and please just take a look at this. Because these are not my words. This is Ryan Reynolds talking about Nice Pool.
Deadpool Wolverine has several versions in this film. Which is your favorite version, and was it enjoyable to kill one of yourself?
Well, I have the theme of that. I think I always kill myself in some way. And in fact, all three Deadpool movies, nobody's ever asked that, by the way, but I have actually, in every one of them, I kill a version of myself. And I think that to me is very important. There's a few little runners in the, you know, always nods to Planes, Trains, and Automobiles and John Candy. And there's the theme that I do end up killing myself at some point. But I loved killing Nice Pool, because Nice Pool's, you know, as much as he projected that he was wonderful, he was a terrible human being. You know, and I like that Deadpool gets to lean into that anti-hero thing and like gets to lean into his like childlike desires. I want that. You know, be it Nice Pool's guns, his gold-plated guns, or his you know, dog that like really should.
If you just paid attention, he covered his lips, the part like where he, you know, he confesses. This is like a body language thing I've heard people talk about, where he slips up and he talks about the dog pull, and this is that not on the movie set. This is an interview.
To be with Wade because the dog and Wade look the same.
So so this is that, and the most vile of it all, and this is where I'm gonna end this episode or this part, and this is Ryan Reynolds about Nice Pool. The idea appealed of creating this character based on guys you find in the zeitgeist right now who are faux nice. The actor continued, "We planted the seed early that he's a little fake spiritual. It just allows us not to feel bad about taking his life brutally." And yeah, so this is who they are. This is how vile they are, and this is just a summary of their plan and what they were trying to achieve. And karma is a bitch. So I'm glad they didn't get what they were looking for, but I'm also very sad for Justin Baldoni because he really had a vision. But I'm so glad that he's fighting back and he's exposing all these people. And from now on, I think I'll try to go into details how they went on to executing this plan that they had. And yeah, thank you very much for listening, and please be patient with me as I am not very used to this thing and it's very hard. I mean, it's not easy for me to just talk in one go. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.